All right, today we're stepping right onto the bridge of a massive cargo ship. We're going to deconstruct a really critical tool that keeps global trade moving safely across our oceans. It's called the routing chart.
I mean, it's a question we probably don't think about much, right? But the answer involves a ton of careful planning, immense responsibility, and a document that's basically a strategic playbook for the high seas. Without it, things would get chaotic, fast.
And this is where we drop in, right in the middle of a pretty high-stakes interview on the bridge of the motor vessel Crewvn. You've got a seasoned captain testing a junior officer, and we get to be a fly on the wall. Now, just so you know, this is way more than just a friendly chat. In the maritime world, this is how knowledge gets tested and proven. The safety of the crew, the multi-million-dollar cargo, the ship itself, it all depends on this officer's expertise. The pressure is definitely on. Okay, so here we go. The captain's first question is direct, it's fundamental. He wants to know if the junior officer, whose name is Đông, really truly gets the whole purpose of this essential document. So what exactly is this chart? Because it is so much more than a map that just points from A to B. Think of it as a dense, data-rich guide for making huge strategic decisions out on the water. And wow, the second officer, Đông, he absolutely nails the answer. He defines it as a specialized chart that gives you all the data you need to find the safest, most efficient, and economical route. And let me tell you, those three words are the absolute pillars of modern shipping. And here's the crucial point. This isn't just about being a good navigator. It's about compliance. The officer has to use this chart to follow the company's own rulebook, called the Safety Management System, or SMS. They also have to follow international law. That's SOLAS, the Safety of Life at Sea Convention. And they have to be ready to pass these really tough inspections from port state control that can happen in any port totally unannounced. This is where the real skill comes in. The true power of the routing chart is in its layers of data. It's kind of like each layer tells a different part of the ocean's story, and a good officer has to be able to read all of them together. As Đông explains to the captain, there are 6 critical sets of data to analyze for any voyage. We're going to zoom in on a few of the most important ones. From these invisible forces of nature to hard physical lines you just cannot cross. Okay, get this, because this is fascinating. A natural force like an ocean current has a direct impact on the ship's bottom line and its mechanical health. If you pick a route that works with the current, you save a ton of fuel, you put less strain on the engine, and it helps the ship stick to its really strict maintenance schedule. And this is basically like using history to predict the future. These wind roses, they're just maps of historical data, showing you the most likely wind speed and direction for any month of the year. It's what allows officers to make these incredibly accurate predictions about when they'll arrive. But let's move on to a point that really highlights the life or death stakes here. For ships sailing on northern routes, say in the Baltic Sea, that ice limit line on the chart, that is not a suggestion. It's a hard boundary between a safe trip and a potential disaster. And the consequences for misjudging that ice, they are immediate and they are severe. As Đông points out, it's not just that it's dangerous, it's a violation that can get your vessel detained right on the spot. No warnings, no second chances. So how do you take all this complicated data and turn it into a real, concrete plan? Well, it's not guesswork. It follows a very strict, professional, and totally auditable procedure. This is the 6-step process that Đông lays out. It all starts with step 1, gathering your documents and making absolutely sure you have the latest chart. Then you move from the big picture to the details, defining the route, analyzing things like waves, and checking for special areas like ice zones. Step 5 is where you integrate all that info into the ship's official navigation systems, both the electronic charts and the paper backups. And finally, and this is so important, step 6 is to record and file everything. That's the paper trail that proves you did your job right. To make sure nothing gets missed, mariners often use little memory aids. Đông shares his. CWRTIP. It's a simple acronym that covers every critical data point on the chart, plus that final crucial step of integrating it all into the plan. And behind that little acronym is a whole mindset. Check with writing, think in planning. It's this constant reminder to base every single decision on the data and to always be thinking a few steps ahead. Now, after all this meticulous work, the final exam isn't given by the captain, it's given by an official government inspector from port state control. They can board the ship in any port anywhere in the world and demand to see your work. So, what does this inspector actually look for?
They're not just checking if you got from point A to point B. No, they are auditing your entire decision-making process from start to finish. This is their checklist. They demand to see the physical chart. They want you to explain the logic for your route. And most importantly, they check for that paper trail. They verify that your official voyage plan specifically references the routing chart you used. It is all about accountability.
And if you can't provide that proof, you get hit with this violation: improper voyage planning. It's a serious black mark on the record of the ship and the company, and it signals to the entire industry that your vessel is a higher risk. But 1.Routeing passes the test. The captain is satisfied, and his final words here really reveal the bigger picture. He says his crew works strictly according to the company's own safety system and the global standards set by the International Maritime Organization. This intense focus on procedure isn't just about one ship. It's about building a global culture of professionalism that keeps the whole system running safely. Which really leaves us with a final thought. We've just seen how this complex web of data and rules and professional diligence, all guided by lines on a chart, prevents chaos on the high seas. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible systems, what other playbooks are out there, quietly and essentially keeping our world in order?